delighted that you are still with us, despite many people flying back. We are here to continue what we have started 2 days ago, preparing for it for so many years and making history in Abu Dhabi, hosting for the first time the 12th edition of the annual investment meeting that has brought together 170 countries and just for the first day, 13,000 participants and more than 600 speakers. It's a true momentum that we need to continue capitalize on. Our country, the United Arab Emirates, has been known not only being at the heart of the Silk Road since hundreds of years. We are today, in 2023, still vibrant and having the affluence of hundreds of thousands of people commuting through our air, skies, and land. We are here to host you and communicate, connect, collegially think of the future and make it happen together. Having said that, I would like to call upon His Excellency Mubarak Ali Al-Mansouri, Executive Director of ADF SA, and would like you to look at his beautiful face here, not the one on the stage. You have him in person, no digital works. Coming over.
Speak on behalf of the Abu Dhabi Agriculture Food Safety, Agriculture and Food Safety Authority, ADAFSA, on the occasion of the Agriculture Investment Roundtable. Today, we gather to discuss the theme of the development, responsible investment trends in global agribusiness and food security, encouraging the flow of money in agriculture and food sectors. Before I delve into the topic of our discussion, allow me to introduce our organization. ADAFSA is the local authority in charge of agriculture, food safety, food security, and biosecurity in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. Our goals include developing the sustainability agriculture and food sector, protecting animal and plant health, and ensuring food safety for the community through inspections of food and agricultural establishments. We also partner with investment funds and the private sector, issue licenses and permits, and prepare plans and programs for the agriculture and food sector. We in ADAFSA are aware of our challenges we face in the global agriculture and food security sector, and we are working hard to address theme. We are working hard to address themes. Some of our efforts include investing. First one, investing in research and development, R&D, to develop new technologies and practices that can help to increase crop yields, improve water efficiency, and reduce greenhouse emissions. To promoting the use of sustainable agricultural practices such as organic farming and precision agriculture. Supporting the development of local food production and processing, raising awareness about food safety and nutrition. We believe that these efforts will be to ensure that everyone in Abu Dhabi has access to safe, nutritious, and affordable food. We also believe that these efforts will be help to protect the environment and promote sustainable development. We are pleased to be participating in this roundtable and to discuss the development of responsible investment trends in global agribusiness and food security. We believe that responsible investment is essential to addressing the challenges we face in the global agriculture and food security sector. Responsible investment is about investing in ways that promote economic growth, social development, and environmental sustainability. It is about investing in ways that benefit people and the planet, not just profit. We are confident that this roundtable will be a valuable opportunity to share ideas and best practices on how to promote responsible investment in agriculture and food security. We look forward to working with you all to build more sustainable and equitable future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Indeed, in your presence, Excellency, this roundtable will be more successful. Would like to take it very simply. If you look at Abu Dhabi 50 years ago, every one of us will remind where we all started. It used to be a small nursery, nurtured by a visionary. Father Sheikh Zayed, may Allah bless his soul. He was going on foot, corner by corner, punishing anyone who would cut a tree or harming nature. He had a vision. I said it at the opening of our first ceremony. I vividly recall a black and white picture of His Highness Sheikh Zayed while he was on his knees with a stick drawing the roads that we are commuting in today. So I say it again, imagination is everything. If we can imagine a future, we can create it. If we can create that future, people will live in it, not us. What we are doing today is for the next generation. When we talk about food security, it's not about what we have in our plates. It's what will remain for the rest of the years to come. Without further ado, I would like to call upon our esteemed panelists to start the first panel session, which will be the technology track, the development in responsible investment trends in global agriculture or agribusiness and food security, encouraging the flow of money in agriculture and food sector. For that, our esteemed moderator, is he here? Mr. David Albertani, CEO of R20. Welcome on stage. A big round of applause for him. Why not? Here, Excellency. In the middle. In the middle. Distinguished panelists. Mr. David Gogat, partner of Pegasus Capital Advisors. Is he here? Not here. Mr. Robin Benjamin, founder of Anima. Welcome. Encourage him, please. Dr. Shamal Muhammad, Director of Agritech and R&D. Mr. Daniel Goldstein, Group CEO of Elements Talent Consultancy. Welcome. I can hold the bag. I can hold your bag. Mr. Jose Francisco Fernandez Serna, Managing Director of Middle East Blend Hub. Blend Hub. Come on over. Mr. Andrzej Vogt, President of the Board, EIC Accelerator Fund of Poland. Welcome to Poland. Dr. Ashraf Hamouda, in charge of partnerships in the GCC region, FAO. Welcome, sir. Dr. Beatrix Henkel, Managing Director of Hampy People General Trading LLC. Welcome. Welcome to the lady. Daniel Solomon, founder of Hero Go. Hero Go. Here we go. Come on over. Last but not least, our very talented lady here, Mrs. Farah Shakakiro, Vice President of Garcia Group, an Emirati company. Come on over. I never thought that we'd be missing some chairs here. Yeah. Very glad we are making it.
No.
Thank you for being here. The floor is yours, Mr. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. So as you can see, we have a big panel. It's also a very important topic. So today we are going to speak about agriculture, food security. This is definitively one of the topics that has become mainstream in the world and where a lot of investment are definitively needed in the coming years to come. So we are many here, so let's have a kind of house rule. Let's try to have short answer, and maybe we can start with the same question for everyone. So what do you do, and how do you see the future of agriculture, and how do you see it in a few 10, 20 years? Thanks to your new amazing technologies and what you're providing to the world. So maybe, should we start with you, Ruben?
Hello, everyone. So when it comes to technologies, I think what's really important here to note is the support that it provides for the agricultural industry. And you can see that before, I would say before maybe 10 years back, the support that was always given was towards logistics and how the deliverability of these segments of food and other support systems like, let's say, pesticides and other fertilizers that kind of support the agricultural and food harvest segments. Now you can see that technology has moved towards geospatial arrangements as well, and providing more support towards particulars in harvest and harvest processes and procedures. And if we look at it 5 years, 10 years ahead, even now it's pretty unfathomable to see how technology has innovated, especially in the agriculture sector. And in 5 to 10 years, I think it would cater towards the underlying motivation of agriculture, which is abundance, right? So we're looking at if you look at two segments of agriculture and agribusinesses, there's urban agriculture now, and that's being there's an underlying motivation to acquire more urban practices in agriculture as well. So when it comes to technology and how it adds more value towards urban farming and urban agriculture, you have harvest and you have the abundance, which is, I think, the main motivation behind it. And I think like in 5 to 10 years, we're going to look at a lot more innovative areas into harvesting and harvest processes. I think that's what I think it looks like in maybe 5 to 10 years.
Thanks a lot. So maybe the same question for you, Dr. Shamal?
Thank you very much. Just a bit of background about what we do at Silal. So Silal, relatively a young company based in Abu Dhabi. We started in 2020. We are part of ADQ companies. Our responsibility is the food security of UAE, and that's in terms of sort of securing the supply globally, but also increasing the local food production. And I think in terms of innovation and research and R&D in general, is in the heart of UAE's commitment to increase the self-sufficiency, but also the food security as well. If you look back in the last 5-10 years, UAE moved up in a global food security system and become much more secure, and we aiming for be number one by 2050. So that's our ambition, and that's the ambition of our leadership as well. So in terms of the kind of work we do in R&D and innovation in general is mostly working with the local farmers and bringing the kind of technology that's suitable for the desert agriculture in UAE and obviously for the whole region. And in our view, you cannot really have a sustainable food production system if there is no a pipeline of innovation and R&D and research and startups. So the entire ecosystem need to be part of that solution, and that's why ourselves, but also our shareholders, ADQ, are very committed in investing in R&D and innovation. And we are working with multiple organizations, including government and private sector as well, and bringing that technology for the local farmers and supporting them. So there are different ways where we do this, and because of the nature of our company, we kind of managing the whole entire supply chain. So we are involved in a seed and fertilizer and agri-chemicals into soil, different production systems, different growing conditions, into packaging, harvesting, logistics, and everything else which involve in the food system in UAE. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Ibrahim?
Ibrahim?
Yeah? No? Ibrahim Al-Dukair from Afif? No? Okay, sorry. So, next speaker is Daniel Goldstein, then.
Which one?
Daniel Goldstein?
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey,
sure.
how are you? I'm over here. Nice to see you all, and good afternoon. So just very quickly about myself, Elements Talent Consultancy is a global talent acquisition and HR support that provides governments and private companies the opportunity of actually delivering the disruption that they're thinking about and on paper. So I think it's one thing to talk about agri-tech, it's one thing to talk about disruption, but if you can't actually deliver the right people and the right technologists and the right environment and the right culture, you're not going to get the project off the ground. And so I think it's really, really important when we talk about the new ideas that we don't actually forget how do we get the people to come and deliver it for us. And so this is an area that we specialize in. And I think when we think about it on two different levels, you think about it on a governmental level, you think about an expansive idea of delivering disruption and change to an industry that is quite traditional. But how do you make sure that the businesses that are there to actually implement the change are correctly funded and correctly staffed and supported? And I think that the UAE is one of those countries that we've been working with, similar to Singapore and Malaysia, that are really, really forward-thinking when it comes to disruption amongst many, many different parts of governmental activity. But certainly, I think within agri-tech, there's a real opportunity to push the boundaries. I think for me, one of the things which is really, really poignant when we think about agri-tech and disrupting and bringing sustainable food and resource to the world is how do we provide something that is equitable for everybody. And it's not just us in developed countries, but thinking about developing countries and making sure that the disruption and the technology that we're bringing isn't also alienating some of the workforce. And some of the workforce being elderly farmers, and diversity in the workforce gets affected when we bring technology in. And so these are some of the areas which I'm really, really keen to keep supporting and to talk about today.
Thank you. Our next speaker, I think, is, I hope this sounds right, Jose Francisco.
Present. So thank you very much for inviting. Look, I am the managing director of Blend Hub. Blend Hub is a multi-localized platform of food ingredients manufacturing. So we started more than 2 decades ago to see that there was something in the food system that needed to be transformed. So then we designed our organization to be able to produce closer to the raw materials, to add value in the source, right, at origin. And we started to do that. Since then, we have deployed our production lines in Spain. We have more than 5 now. In Colombia, in Mexico, in India, we have 2. And now in the Middle East, I have the mandate to invest and deploy different production units in the Middle East. So what we do, basically, is to transform raw materials, commodities, into added value food ingredients that goes into the food value chain, right? So I think when it comes to food security, it's important to consider what are the dimensions that are involved in the whole picture, right? So we have the economy dimension, the impact of the economy and the production itself. Then we have the livelihood, what is the impact in the society, that it's very relevant, and it's a very important tool to fight inequalities. And then there are other impacts that are very important to consider, like you know, what is exactly our ability to transform the way we look at food, right? So what we have learned is, and especially across the crisis that we went through the pandemic, it's when food falls, everything else falls, right? So it's very important to pay a lot of attention to joint efforts from the public and the private sector, and to work together on a common strategy to achieve the goals. And these goals are different in the UAE, in the whole GCC, and then globally, right? There is no one answer for all these challenges. So.
Thanks a lot. Next speaker is Andrzej, I guess.
My name is Andrzej Voigt. I arrived from Poland, from Warsaw. I represent EIC Accelerator Fund, which is European Commission as an export evaluator. We're talking about the fund which was established in 2018 with 2 billion euro for innovative investment projects. I used to evaluate as a business person. This is very unique in this fund. For the first time, European Commission decided to outsource expert evaluators, mostly to business people who sacrificed, because in my case, I would say it's big I sacrificed, really, to write reports and go through hundreds of pages of various innovative projects to make these innovations really scale up and global, not to waste money as it happened in the past in many other funds, just for scientific, to meeting scientific expectations. I'm in business for more than 30 years. As a family business, we invested more than 2 million euro in different food processing factories. And we know what we're talking about. Yeah? So that fund, the pilot phase, was very successful. And European Commission decided in 2021 to launch the next round. 110 billion euro for innovative projects to be spent up to 2026. And I'm here also for another reason. European Union, it's 27 countries and associated 5 different countries, but Middle Eastern companies could join venture and also apply as a consortium for these funds. For each project, you can altogether get about 2.5 million euro grant, up to 70% of your capital expenses in the phase, let's say, pilot project innovation, and then you can get equity for minority stake from us as a silent investor, up to 15 million euro for minority stake as a silent institutional investor. And my presence is here to also announce another fund, which is of similar nature, even bigger, and invite the richest people in the world to contribute, not to wait only for public institutions. Thank you very much, and thanks Abu Dhabi government, Her Majesty, Mr. Masuri, for invitation and trust. In December, I came for 3 days. After 12 years, I stayed 4 months. I was so impressed by development, and this country simply became the second country for more than 200 nations. And I'm very impressed, and I came back after 2 months for your invitation. And I do hope that many companies will join you, because you have big challenge, big Asian nations who prefer to live in your country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and very nice call for action. So our next speaker is Dr. Ashraf.
Thank you. Can you hear me much? All right. First of all, I'm not a doctor. It was just they added into it, but my position is basically head of partnerships at FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and to develop partnerships across the GCC. One of our main partners is ADAFSA, His Excellency Mubarak al-Mansouri. We work very closely with them, sometimes not to their satisfaction, but we're trying to improve on that, as well as the Ministry of Climate Change under Her Excellency Mariam Bahir. The objective of FAO is really to eradicate hunger. We would like to eradicate hunger worldwide, but from what we're seeing and experiencing right now, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. Hopefully, maybe in my son's lifetime, inshallah, but let's see how that develops. Our main objective is really to work with institutions inside the country to develop policies, to put strategies, and it depends on the context. So for example, in the GCC and the Emirates, it's a different context than it is for a country like Chad or Mauritania, etc. Here, water is very scarce. Again, because of the richness of the country, they're not affected as much as here in the shocks that are happening worldwide. So climate change, whether it's the effects of it that's going on, or whether it's man-made wars, etc., everybody's being affected by it. One of the main aims of FAO is to really help the needy and improve their livelihoods. So for example, a lot of people don't know, but 70% of the food that we are all eating is coming from small farm farmers. That's about 70%. And of course, a lot of it is wasted. A lot of it is not being delivered in distribution or supply chain issues. So our really objective is how to harness this new technology. Food is available. People think that the people are dying of hunger because there's not food. No, food is available. But the distribution and the maldistribution of it is really one of the main causes that this is happening worldwide, and that's what we see the hunger. Sadly, the sexy airdrops where you see planes dropping food and helping people out, this is not a reality. This is food aid that really only helps for a certain period of time. We at FAO, we deal with the root causes, meaning we have to make people stand on their own 2 feet. It has to be viable, it has to be sustainable. We build resiliency, we rebuild their livelihoods and how to move forward. And in order to do that, in the next period, we need to be able to harness technology. We need to be innovative in our approaches. We have plenty of examples everywhere that we're doing this. So for example, we have digital innovation for early warning crop. This is in Egypt. We scale up water harvesting and wastewater recycling, Jordan, Somalia. We build institutional and planning capacities to plant and market climate resilience crops. So for example, gum arabic in Sudan, coffee in Yemen. So there are a lot of initiatives that can be held, but we need to work with the private sector. It cannot be, we're not in a vacuum anymore. We really need to be able to help and support and to move forward. And hopefully in those sessions, we'll be able to discuss more strategies and how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next speaker is Dr. Beatrix.
Yes, I would like to start also by introducing myself and the company. Hempi people was born around the passion for the plant called hemp. This plant belongs to the cannabis sativa family, which has been used for 6,000 centuries, very often known for the using drug purposes, recreational drug in many countries, and not very much known for the other part of the family, the cousin, which is in the background, industrial hemp. What we are trying to do is to raise awareness of this plant. Why? One reason is that how sustainable it is. It grows in many different parts of the world, hardly requiring water, no pesticides, makes it an ideal candidate for sustainability and promotes sustainability via hemp. Why is it related to agriculture? The very simple reason is by using and harvesting hemp seeds can eliminate starvation all around the world. It's very rich in vitamins, omega-3, 6, super rich antioxidant, strengthens the immune system, commonly known as the #1 vegan protein. However, if I ask you if you know what hemp is, most likely many people would say, no, we haven't heard about it, we don't know it. And that goes back to a couple of points that I would like to raise, how the vision of bringing hemp as one example, not the only one, but one example, can help us to think forward in the world of agriculture. One of them is to work locally, to work with local small manufacturers, believing in values, believing in really the idea and the vision of living a sustainable life, creating an impact, working on creating a greener planet. Another part of it is that it's ancient. It has been used by the Chinese 6,000 years ago, and since then it's being used. Now it's experiencing a renaissance, a rebirth of this. Why is it important? Because we can combine something traditional with something innovative. We can use the technology, the automated systems available to us, and use the benefits that nature provides us with. And the third part, where it all starts, is with the intention, with our focus. What are we paying attention to? Is it myself, my benefits, my interest, or is it the common good? Is it the community? And just purely this intention can create a big difference, can make a big difference. And it all starts with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next speaker is Mr. Daniel.
Hi, my name is Daniel Solomon. I'm one of the founders of a food tech platform called HeroGo. We reduce the cost of food while fighting food loss and food waste. And this is one of the most important topics for today's generation. as the population is also going to double by 2050. And what we believe is technology has the power to eliminate food loss and food waste, and the different technologies being used by different startups. One of the biggest way that we use on our platform is also to help with awareness and education, because the biggest way to fight food security, and when you're looking at it from a food waste point of view, is making people more aware of the issue of food waste and food loss. So more than 6,000 of our customers who are buying from us are also being aware of the topic and little actions that they can make at home. And this is very important, particularly here in the MENA region, where food waste per household is 50% higher when you compare to anywhere else in the world. And that's one of the channels where you could use a platform to really spread awareness and education. And of course, redistributing food that normally would not be used and land at the landfill, preserving the resources and water that went into making the food. And that's one of the ways, and of course, doing this, we're helping to also reduce the costs and making the society a little bit more equitable in what we do.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So the last speaker, Mrs. Farah.
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Farah Shakhashiro. I'm the Vice President and co-founder of Gracia Group. I'm very happy today to be representing an Emirati model, which is called Gracia Group. It's a comprehensive farm model where we farm 360 degrees. It means we manage farms, we educate farmers, we train people, we bring schools and students to our farm to raise awareness about food, about the future of farms and food and agriculture, and how we introduce technology. I'm here today to speak and highlight a little bit more about investment in agriculture and who is the sector that we are focusing on to invest. Is it investors in UAE? Is it farmers, or is it the society? Because we have three main pillars that we can work on them to invest in agriculture. Farming is for everyone, not only if you have farm, you grow food, and if you don't have farm, you don't grow food. Our problem is we have a lot of food, and at the same time, we have a lot of waste. So how do we manage all these challenges in one model that we have created to represent a holistic approach to agriculture? So this is what I would like to highlight today in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as you can see, indeed, we have a very diverse panel covering the full spectrum of food security and very interesting topics. So the next question, and it will be the same for all of you. So we are all here speaking about basically technology. So we see huge technological shift, artificial intelligence, renewable energy, many new technologies, sometimes ancient solution coming back to life, sometimes linked to human resources. Agriculture is still something that needs to be also socially acceptable. There are a lot of topics. So the next question for you will be like, what are the type of technology or solution that you promote in your daily life to make agriculture and food system more sustainable and for a greener planet? So I will start with you, maybe Ruben. I think you have to go closer.
Thanks. So just sticking with like the theme, which is encouraging flow of money into these sectors. A perspective that I can share here is, what does the technology sector kind of contribute to this, to the agricultural industry, and even with food security as well? I think the main important thing that just normal people, just people who are not necessarily working the fields and not even in this into the contributing spaces as well, sectors as well, what we can kind of understand is that technology, at least the way that it's moving forward, and even in today's time, it helps create this perception of control over the ecosystem in these farmlands. And that's really important to note here. Even with our own investment ideas and even if we wanted to go from a personal point of view as well, technology really plays that crucial role in control. So we know that even with emerging technologies that are coming up in these spaces, geospatial technologies are really important. We can look at even precision targeting of weed removals and just unwanted things in fields, and these can be applied to with basically just the progression of technology. These affect both rural areas as well as like urban sectors as well for in agriculture, and I think that's super important to keep a note of. And technology as a whole has the technology track as a whole has such a valuable additive and support system that it provides for these farmers and people that have agribusinesses. So I think that's like a really important note, especially with if we're talking about encouraging the flow and flow of money and cash into these sectors. We got to know how technology plays where technology has a hand in these sectors, and I think that's something to note as well.
Thank you very much. Dr. Shaman, the same question?
Thank you. Well, I think for us, because we are operating in Abu Dhabi and UAE, and as you know, the challenges here is much more difficult than the rest of the world. So the way we look at the desert agriculture and what the kind of technologies we are working on is basically looking at that sort of a nexus of food, water, and energy. And I think one of the probably the mistake or the missing point is sometimes we, in order to simplify our lives, we're looking at things in a silos. But unfortunately, in reality, all these three are integrated. So our approach, looking at energy, water, and food, is looking at the input. So the kind of technologies we've been working on in the last 15 months or a couple of years now, we deployed large number of IoT sensors within 100 local farms in Abu Dhabi in order to automate their irrigation and cooling their greenhouses so they can save more energy, save more water, and obviously do a lot of training to understand how this technology can benefit their bottom line as well. We've done a lot of work on recycling the nutrient, if you like. So there is a lot of discussion about the food waste, that's true, but how we can utilize that waste or resources, if you like, and then bring it back as a compost, apply it back into the soil, and then creating that sort of a circular sort of a system so we can improve our soils, but also reduce our impact on a landfill and our greenhouse gas emissions. We also bring in cutting-edge technology, so we partnership with Red Sea Farm. We have a 1 hectare greenhouse innovation center in Al Ain, where we have a heat blocking technology. It's not only a normal plastic, it's a normal plastic with a nanotechnology that can block the bad radiation, if you like, and let the good radiation comes inside the greenhouses. So that's by default will reduce your energy and your water consumption. We done and we are working on a couple of projects on improving seed, because I very much am an agri-tech director, but I believe the technology in a seed and variety and the biology itself has a huge potential in answering some of the key challenges facing the food security, but also the climate change, because I think we need to understand we are operating in this harsh environment. I was in a climate tech conference this morning in ADNOC. Climate is not changing here, it's changed already. So the kind of projection of in 20 years or 30 years is going to be lack of fresh water, the soil is going to be poor, the quality is going to go down, the temperature is going to go up, and the drainage is going to disappear. That's basically where we are now. And the farmers in this country facing a huge challenge. And if we can develop an R&D program or an innovation ecosystem in Abu Dhabi and UAE that can answer the question of today, we kind of answering the food security problems for the entire planet. And I think this is where ourselves and our shareholders, our partners in a government like of ADAFSA, we're working quite closely with the public sector, but also the private sectors, because we need to bring everyone together. This is a very complex problem, and I don't think there is anyone has an answer or a silver bullet that can solve this problem. So we need to make and create this sort of environment, and that's why our basis is our local farmers. We've done a lot of soil analysis. I think we've done about 1,000 soil analysis. Sometimes you need to go back to the basics. It's not only vertical farming and cutting edge technologies. Getting the basics right. Helping farmers to be more understanding the complexity of the system and how we can make an incremental changes and improvement that can help increasing the food production, but also increasing sustainability. And that's why within Silal and ADQ, we are creating this sort of a innovation ecosystem in Abu Dhabi, and we are engaging with many partners and players in the region in order to answer some of these questions and bring in these technologies here. One last point, I know you are in a hurry. I think one of the challenges or one of the problems in the past is sometimes we're looking at the innovation somewhere else. We're trying to bring that technology and then implement it here. What we need is we need to start the innovation in Abu Dhabi to answer the problems and the challenges we have in Abu Dhabi. If we can do that, we can answer the question for many other countries and other places. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think we'll have to have, do shorter answer. Sure. But to your point, to going to basis, maybe Daniel, as you speak about training people, I think this is very basic.
I'll speak really quickly if I can. I was thinking about this question beforehand because, sorry to let the secret out of the bag, we were told the questions before they came. And I was thinking, you know what, there's a great business that we support in Thailand that's doing amazing things with drones and allowing farmers, local farmers with not much resources, be able to work out which part of their fields they should invest in and which part of the soil is the better one to produce the more yieldable results. But actually, I can talk about the technology all day. I think, however, though, there's a point that's being missed here, which for me is probably quite glaring, and it's been coming since I think I spoke to you, Daniel. You told me about a well-known supermarket whose name I won't use, who apparently changed their food every 2 days. They take away their fresh produce. So we're talking about a huge challenge here. We're talking about climate change. We're talking about the eradication of hunger. We're talking about building the solution. But I think there's a much bigger challenge that needs to be overcome, a much bigger level of disruption, despite all of the technology that I think is out there. And I think it's engagement, it's public engagement. We have to engage. I think it was Farah, I think you might have mentioned this, talking about the public needs to engage more. And if we don't engage the public, I mean, let's look at the people in this room. I know it's the end of a 3-day event, but we have to engage the public. If you really want to eradicate one of the biggest challenges in the world and deliver disruption to agriculture and solve food hunger, then we have to think very differently. We have to think about the disruption. We have to think about engaging with the public, and only then will the best technologists come to the world and help us solve the solution. So, I'll leave it there because I think we can talk about tech all we want.
Sure. Thanks very much. So now let's go to Jose Francisco.
So, talking about technology, I mean, if we agree that the food system are no longer fit for purpose, it needs to be transformed. The main enabler is the technology. So technology is actually sector agnostic. You have many use cases that you have to develop, and then in the food space. For example, here in the UAE, there is a lot of investment going to hydroponics, aeroponics, precision agriculture, irrigation, and so on and so forth. As in other countries, it's mostly going to food manufacturing, to improve processes, to implement, for example, as we are doing, digitized quality control, and so on and so forth. So I think we have to approach technology as an enabler, but for me the action call is on building an ecosystem that is able to boost these innovators that are the ones that will eventually transform the food system, right? So we need to support, for example, Daniel, Hero Go, this type of, homegrown activities that are really having an impact. We have to start with that. And also, from the government perspective, giving support to these activities, it's sending a very powerful message to the ecosystem, right? So I think this is the right direction. And I think, to be very honest, I've been 13 years living in the UAE, and many more to come. So I truly believe that there is a lot of efforts here compared to in other countries where decision making is way more slow and so on. So we will see a lot of things happening in the food space in the coming years, and definitely we will see that the center of the world in the coming decade, I would say, it's going to be in the Middle East. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Andrzej and Andrew.
Okay. Polish lessons after this panel, okay? I used to go through many projects, innovative projects submitted to the fund, okay? And the conclusion which I would suggest for the rulers of Middle Eastern countries is give 100, 200 hectares to each citizen for 10 years, for 20 years, let them work. Because particularly in agriculture, it's about innovations. People have so many ideas how to create and produce food. You don't need soil. I saw the projects, you don't need soil. Based on water, which you can deliver, you can produce vegetables. Everything. So what I'm saying is decentralize the farming industry, and it's about also the responsibility. People will be busy out of social media, most of them simply will communicate better. You will have more healthy food. This is big struggle in Europe between philosophy, which used to dominate in the last 40 years, of big farms for few thousand hectares, and very decentralized system based on small farms. And what is happening in the last few years? Huge donations to small farms in order to support organic production, because 52%, about 52% of the soils are destroyed by chemicals. And this is very expensive process to restore. So there is plenty of projects of organic fertilizers and how to restore soils in order to produce real good food. Because if you eat food with the chemicals, sooner or later you have cancer. If you have cancer, your country, your healthcare system need to spend millions for taking care of your people. So it's a very serious issue, and more there's more in favor in European Union to give support to small farmers. We can talk hours, but I was prepared for a round table. There is no round table here.
Indeed.
To agree something, some
we-
strategies.
And we are very numerous, so it's hard to speak for a long time. So let's please keep it short because I understand we have to finish soon. So Ashraf, if you have 1 minute.
Just quick, hello, okay. To combine how complex to say about, equitable planet and green planet. It's a very difficult formula to achieve because green sometimes is expensive. It is not, it's going to take a while before it comes in. But I want to use an example here that we have in the Emirates that we've done, financed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a project in Liberia, where FAO is working with a local company, I guess I'd say the name Elite Agro, of which to do a project together. And that project is basically where Elite Agro comes in and they do sort of a farm in a box, which is a container that has solar, water, they can store fruits that can help all the communities, etc. This project turned into from buying that container from outside, they're actually producing it now here. And we're going to be rolling it out throughout the Africa in a lot of ways. So what I want to say is it takes partnerships on a global level. And a lot of people don't know this, but UAE is one of the highest per capita humanitarian donor to the world. And they actually try to help out in other countries that you don't know about. But there's a lot of technology that comes from here equitably as well as being able to be more green.
Thank you very much. So, Dr. Beatrix?
I would like to start by just building on what Andre said and Daniel said previously, that to engage the public, there is the potential. Are we paying attention to it? And there are many ways how we can do this. Yes, we can use the technology, but use it in a mindful way. Yes, we can bridge the gap between education and agriculture and include more people as small farmers, and that will have a bigger impact than centralizing it all. So thank you so much for that, for sharing. And I would like to highlight in the remaining part of my 1 minute the importance and the leading example that I observe happening in the UAE, and I wish many countries would follow this. 3 things. One of them, look at how the UAE as a country goes around the world collecting best practices before implementing it in the country. Second, they bring all experts from all over the world, hence we are sitting here and learning from each other, so they can get the best of the knowledge. Third, you see lots of experimentation here, discovery. You feel the potential that you want to explore and innovate. So I wish for many countries present here, attending this conference and many other conferences and workshops here, to take this example, to take this train of thought, this mindset, and go home and start implementing it there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Daniel?
No, I guess we talk about technology to produce more, but today's world, we have a lot of food that could feed a lot more people. So it's not just about production, it's how do we preserve, the quality, the nutrients. And I think this is some of the points that was mentioned by other panelists. So as a company, for us, it's really making sure that every food that's being produced, gets utilized in different level, whether it's, consumption or other values, but food doesn't land in a landfill, obviously, because that has a great impact, on the planet. And that's where we believe that technology does have, a lot of power in the production, making sure the people who are designing those technologies are able to ensure that they're taking into consideration some behavioral change by not sorting out some produce that are considered, too ugly, too small, or shouldn't be eaten. And when you have the produce, they should also be eaten based on their size. And down the line, those that cannot be eaten for whatever reason should be used for other means that I think Dr. Samuel mentioned, like decomposing, just finding all great, value from food that is already being produced. And of course, I'm sure there are a lot more technology that solves for producing new food. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And so now Farah.
So speaking about technology, we have a lot of technologies in agriculture: drones, IoTs, robotics, systems to grow, like hydroponic, aquaponic. My question is, are we here to adapt a technology or adopt a technology? In UAE and in all the world, this is first. Second, how are we making the youth and the kids interested in this sector? We have a huge gap between what goes on in farms and the society itself. They don't care and they don't know where food comes from. How are we making also, for investors, let's say, if they want to implement a high-tech system in their farms, they care about their ROI. Farmers, they care about how much money they're going to get from selling the crop with high-tech that they implemented in their farms. And for the society, let's speak about women, because I'm here to highlight also women empowerment in agriculture. It's how do we grow our clean food at home through tech? Because this is what every women dream of, that their kids eat healthy, that we don't need to buy things from the market. So it's 3 quick highlights. Maybe people have also inputs on these 3 main things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I know I will just do a closing remark. So what I also hear from all of you, and one of the thematic was high-end technology, how technology can enhance. And I think all of the speakers spoke about farmers and actually solutions that already exist today but need to be adapted and used. So it's very interesting to see that I think all of us share the same view, that it's not always high-tech and AI solution that will solve the food problem, but also human resource and actually ancient solution that needs to be implemented, and we should just be more efficient. So thanks again. I think we have a follow-up session, if I understand correctly.
Yes, but we will try to squeeze in, and maybe we'll steal 5 more minutes from the next session, because as our colleague here has mentioned, Mr. Goldstein, we are on a virtual roundtable that should continue. I believe that this is not the end. This kind of discussions need to go on throughout the years, because there are so many important issues that need to be tackled on a day-to-day basis. So our being or get together here is very important, and we should continue the discussions. I would like to open maybe the floor for a few questions to have an interactive session. We need to give also a voice for our audience. If there are any questions, can we have a question from the audience? If you've been attentive enough throughout this journey of 1 hour. Any question from the audience? I will kick off with one question. I come from a region, Northern Emirate, Ras Al Khaimah, that is one of most arable lands in the United Arab Emirates. The Chamber of Commerce that's been established in 1967 used to be called the Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Agriculture of Ras Al Khaimah. This word agriculture has been dropped because simply the region has, industry has taken over agriculture. Agriculturers, farmers have left their land more, it's becoming more expensive, it's hectic, there is money elsewhere. Is there any way of encouraging farmers to do like the ancestral people used to do, is to keep their vocational specialism and stay in that specialism and be, continue the agriculture sector development? Anyone can answer this question. How can we encourage them to stay or come back? Anyone?
Probably I can answer a question like this. So I think this is not only specific to UAE. This is a global sort of a challenge. The sort of old generation of farmers are retiring, and the young generation are more interested in working in cities and working in a different sectors rather than farming, because usually farming and agriculture sounds like quite a boring sector, and this is actually it's a quite a sort of an energy consuming profession as well. But I think with the changes in the way the farming and agriculture and the food sector is going at the moment, there is a lot of attraction. So if you are a computer scientist or a data scientist, yes, you have a role in agriculture. We are generating, a mountain of data, and we need that sort of a new profession in agriculture. We need agriculture with agri-tech background, technologies in terms of sensors, robotic, automation. We are in a discussion with many partners to encourage the young scientists, the young generation to work in automation. Automation is a big part of agriculture. So I think we need to change the discussion. Agriculture is not the same agriculture of 40 years ago that you need. I mean, before I joined Silal, I used to work in the UK. We had a dairy farm of 180 cows. We have only 2 managers or 2 people working there. Everything was automated. So you don't need to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning to milking your cows, because we had a robot to do that. So the industry has become much more exciting and interesting, which hopefully will attract more talents and more people to do more exciting works in agriculture.
Thank you for that. And maybe also finding new innovative ideas by combining tourism with agriculture or manufacturing with agriculture. We find a lot of farmers next door to a manufacturing hub, and they are not really, working together. Food processing, enhancing the product lines, making sure that people are aware of the location of farmers. And anyhow, any other question? Yes, now we have people waking up. Come on over. Wake up.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you for inviting us to this event. I have, I think, I don't know his name, but he was talking about pesticide and not pesticide, the fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, the risk that we faced because of that. But as I know that in agriculture, we need to use the pesticide and fertilizer by using good agricultural practices and use the guidelines. But do you think in future that we can stop using chemical fertilizer and looking for alternative solution? Can we imagine that in future that we will use bio fertilizer or organic? Do you think that the technology can help us in this issue? I will make it's open. Anyone who can answer to this question.
Yeah,
thank you.
If you don't mind, just to weigh in over here. Yeah, definitely. There are even new innovative companies that are looking at animals and insects to be introduced into their ecosystem, so that reduces the need for pesticides. So there are definitely movements in this space to not use that many chemicals in anything that's inorganic that would potentially harm or destroy the soil or the food or even the harvest process. So there are things that are moving in that direction, and in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, it could even roll out. It could even roll out into a nation, if no worldwide, viewpoint, and that's something that you can.
Mr. Goldstein.
Yeah. Więc I truly believe you can quit chemical fertilizers in 10 years. It's process. I'm aware of huge project already approved by European Commission of organic fertilizers chain of factories. It's going to be kind of a McDonald's. In every major village, city, you will have factories which will process organic waste. And it's real. It works. The first factory is already established and started production in European Union. And I supported this project. So, and Middle East is number 2 destination for this kind of ventures, because it's not only organic fertilizers, but also restoring soils. And your poor quality soils are not poor. You just need to enrich them with some minerals. And believe me, the waste, organic waste, can be really organic healthy if you add some other minerals which eliminate pesticides and all this shit, I'm sorry to say, which is in chicken, for example, or some other meat. Chicken in 6 weeks and it's adult. This is crazy, yeah? So the farming is going in a very dangerous direction. We can change it, but that requires also political decisions from the ministries, from the rulers of the various countries. We want to have healthy food, because otherwise we're gonna spend billions for healthcare.
Mr. Jose, quickly.
So very quickly, the answer is yes. The answer is that it's closer than you think. I am seeing Jasen there. So Jasen is using biofertilizers, biostimulants with no harm for the environment. I think this is what is happening in the agriculture. Is actually, this is the main trend, to substitute all the chemical and harmful fertilizers, pesticides, and so on, for biopesticides, biofertilizers, and so on and so forth. They come from sustainable sources. And you know, when I was first speaking about the different dimensions, I think one important dimension is environmental. We didn't speak much about the environmental impact of the agriculture. The agriculture and the food system, together with the agriculture, is the major contributor to this, right? So the transformation is also on this spectrum of environmental impact, climate, and so on and so forth. And I think it's very important to consider that, because this year we are hosting the COP28 here, and I think we will talk a lot about it. But yeah, I invite you all to visit Jasen's biofarm in Alain, so you will be really amazed.
Mr. Jasen from the biofarm in Alain. So we are promoting for you.
Just a quick add-on to my colleague, very, very quick. It's not
we
only...
have Dr. Shamal and then you.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I think in a way this discussion around agri-chemical remind me with people anti-vax. The matter of fact is, every one of us would like to live a healthy life. We need to exercise, we need to have a healthy diet. But when you are getting sick, you need to take your antibiotics. And the antibiotic is not bad for you. That's helping you to recover quickly. And that's exactly the same thing in agri-chemical industry and agriculture. I think the whole point of that agri-chemical is causing cancers, and that's all based on really not a scientific evidence. It's all driven by environmentalist organizations. Because the matter of fact is, farmers are not applying agri-chemical for fun. If you are injecting bees with a high concentrated agri-chemical, obviously will die. And if you're drinking it, will obviously causing you a problem. The farmer's using a very small amount of agri-chemical to control disease. And that disease, if it's not controlled, it will cause more problems in a food supply chain. So we need to be a little bit more realistic about the way we are commenting on these kind of issues. Because if you want to go organic globally or in any country, your production is going to go down by more than 50%, right? So average global yield of wheat is around 8 tons, 2-3 tons, right? The organic is less than half of that. So how are you going to supply the entire global by organic system? I'm not saying organic system, they don't have a place. Absolutely, they have a place. They have a role. There are many, many best practices where we can learn from organic sector, but you cannot say, well, in the future, we're going to be 10 billion people on this planet. You cannot feed people with the organic system, because by nature, you have more problems. We are more exposed to disease, to insect, to all these issues
Correct.
which we need all the tools in the toolbox. So please, especially European Union, you don't have to ban too many ingredients because the farmers will need it everywhere.
Thank you, thank you. Mrs. Farah.
So it's a lot of education. What he said about biofertilizer, we wish that we can stay in biofertilizer. It's preventing first, then the biofertilizer will come. It's a lot of education to know because it's a living thing. Every plant gets sick in its own way. Tomato has their own diseases, cucumber has their own diseases, and we have the sensors. Nowadays, the latest technology is the sensor to detect the first crop that gets sick so you can treat it instead of letting all the field get sick and then you have to spray it with chemicals and all these things. So this is where education comes and the usage of biofertilizer.
Sir, you've been pampered. For one question, you had 5 answers. One more. Answer.
Maybe just...
Just comment. I absolutely disagree with you that simply we need chemical fertilizers, all this stuff. No. I can tell you one thing, and we simply build up factories. We are not scientific. I'm not scientific, I'm not communist. Okay?
Exactly. So you don't have to use the scientific evidence.
300% of margins between farmer and the supermarket. This is not okay. That's one of the reasons why people cannot afford. You need to be realistic. 30%, 40% of the production of vegetables, fruits, is throughout. So you need to take care of not only about margins, but also about technologies, again, to keep without chemicals, new technologies, innovative technologies, which allow to have fruits, vegetables in the original form without adding chemicals, which simply impact your healthcare very significantly.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. So we can talk hours and hours.
Of course, and this is why the round table is here. So thank you so much. So maybe before we give the floor to Mr. David, one last question, briefly, and one answer only. We are going to allow only one answer. Anyone? Yes.
Yeah, regards for the, we need actually for the to facing the hunger, we need to waste management, to have really good waste management for our food. We need to educate our kids from the school. How much the food they need to eat, how should be they manage the food. And even the leftover, not just throw it in the rubbish bin. You have to reuse it again for any other ingredients. You can use it for many things. Last things we need to think the rubbish bin, or to do like that. This is my comment for the president.
Thank you for all. Actually, ADAFSA have a good program, IPM program, and we apply this program in all farms in Abu Dhabi and Al Ain and Al Dhafra. Also, we have a good awareness for our community, and we have a good program for our technical people, how deal with pesticide and when we use pesticide and when we stop pesticide. All of this is covered from ADEFSA, and I think we have a good result for our local production and safety. Thank you for all.
Thank you, Excellency. I think this was the last comment here. Mr. David?
So I think it's a perfect transition, but I mean, given all the questions we had, I think one of the, also key away, and it's a link to maybe the next session, is we have to imagine we're coming from a world where agriculture was only driven by cost. The only question we had was, how can we produce more with less money? What can we do to have the lower costs ever? And now we have to change the whole food system to be more sustainable, more efficient, to have less waste, to have less impact on the environment. And I think this is a shift that will take us, on a long journey. We'll have, heated debate, maybe, but there is at some point a question. There may be a trade-off with cost and sustainability. And so I think this is something, we are most probably discussing on the next panel, but definitively, part of the answer of how can we do better, how can people, young people come back to the farm, has to do with cost. How much are we going to, and are we willing to pay for our food system? At some point, that will be a question.
Thank you. We could not ignore a lady question here. You are the last one.
Thank you very much. My name is Fatima. I came from Senegal. I am the president of African Business Women. In my organization, there are many women who are in agriculture, and they would like to develop our production. We would like to have partner in agriculture for peanuts and to process the peanuts to have oil peanut with a very, very quality oil. And I have a project to produce biodegradable back by cassava and maize. My question is, some of you perhaps are interested to invest in Senegal or to finance in Senegal, who are interested to invest to Senegal or to finance our project. Thank you very much.
MashaAllah alik. She's promoting, and you are a giver, and we are takers. We will connect you. So anyone can answer.
In 1 second, so R20, we are a consortium, we are an investment firm, and actually we have an investment fund that invests, among other, in agriculture products. We have a booth just next to the corner, so you're most welcome to come to our booth, explain your project, and we can invest between 5 to 75 million in US dollar in a food system and agriculture project.
Madam, did you hear that? Yes, you need to talk to Mr. David.
And we can speak French.
Yes, and you speak French. Senegal, bonjour. Thank you so much. Mr. Jose, thank you. Goldstein, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shamal. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, David. Thank you, David again, the moderator. Thank you, Mrs. Farah, Mr. Solomon, Dr. Beatrix, Hamouda, Mr. Dr. Ashraf Hamouda, Voigt. Thank you for each and every one. I wanted to personally thank you for your precious time for a commemorative historical picture. The floor is yours. Thank you.